Hello, everyone. I want to talk to you today about the different majors that you can have and be involved in the construction industry. So, what does it mean to be an architect, a civil engineer, and a construction manager, and what is the differences between these three different majors? So architecture is the first major that I want to talk to you about. As an architect, you would sit with the owner and understand their needs and what they want in building a house or a structure of different kind, and you would be putting all of the different details, imagining all of the different details that they want. So it's a job or a career that requires a lot of creativity, a lot of imagination. If you paint as a hobby, that would give you definitely an advantage. But also, if you don't, it's not going to be an obstacle or limitation because they teach you how to sketch in a professional way and to overcome that. But as your job as an architect, it would definitely be defining what is the appearance of structures or houses, also some of the details within the house, how are you going to divide your spaces within the house, where to put the windows, where the doors go, and all of that. The final shape or a look of a house, would be your responsibility as an architect in simple words. The final product that you're going to provide is going to be drawings or a 3D model that shows all of the different details that you wanted and that structure based on the requirements and needs of the owner. So all of these are example of models done and designs done by our architects. So architecture is more on the artistic kind of side of construction industry. So if you have good imagination, if you love to design, you like to paint, all of that would be actually a really good fit for you. On a grad level, architecture, you can get specialized in different majors. For example, urban design. And urban design, what we mean by it is the design of cities on a broader scale. So as you see here at this picture, you wouldn't be designing each element in the city, each house in the city, or each structure. However, you would have a better broader layout of the city, where the schools go, where the apartments go, where the parks go, and see how all of it interacts with each other. So you would be designing neighborhoods, you would be designing cities, but you wouldn't be really focusing on every single element in it. If you see here in the picture, there's a lot of different elements, but they're not really, each one of them by itself, it lacks a lot of details. But when you put all of it together, it gives you a really good idea about how the city would look like. Also, in architecture, if you are interested in landscape architecture, the design of outdoor areas, for example, public parks, gardens, playgrounds, even campuses like UF, all of the green spaces, where does it go, where people walk, what is the best way for people to interact with the environment, all of that is part of architecture or landscape architecture. Your final product would be something similar to what you see here in this picture. So if you're into nature and architecture, that could be a good fit for you. Now, civil engineering. Civil engineering is for people who are more into the scientific side or the technical side of the construction industry, and they like math and physics, and based on math and physics, all of it. It's not as artistic as architecture. So if you're into physics and math and good at those, civil engineering might be a good fit for you. There's different fields within civil engineering. So if you go for civil engineering major, at one point you will have to decide to choose a major, a specialization. And I'm going to be talking about 6 or 7 of them today, and hopefully that would give you a good idea. about what you want to do. So the first one in civil engineering is structural engineering. So we talked about how the architect would put the layout of the house, would decide how the house would look like. A structural engineer would look into the safety of the design. So they decide what materials to be used in that design, whether are you going to be using concrete, steel, or wood, and all of that. This is your responsibility as a structural engineer. Also, you would decide where the columns go, where the beams go, how thick is the roof that makes it actually safe, what kind of material that you're going to be using, what grade of concrete, what is the strength of concrete that you need to be using in that structure, what is the strength of steel, what kind of steel rebars are you going to want to be using there. All of these safety measures that gonna make your building or structure safe is responsibility of a structural engineer. And your output, like the final product for you as a structural engineer, it would be like a set of drawings, structural drawings, and a structural model, similar to the one provided by the architect, but this one with more specification about the material and the structural design on that structure or building. Now, construction management. Construction management in many universities, it is part of the civil engineering major. However, in UF in particular, has a different, and it's an independent major, and you can find construction management at the Design and Construction and Planning College. It's not done at the civil engineering or the engineering college in UF. Construction management. Your job as a construction manager, if you like to be outdoor, if you don't, so your job as a structural engineer and an architect, it would be within the office. If you like to be outdoor, to be dealing with the crew, dealing with people, construction management might be actually a good fit for you. In construction management, you would have like it's a combination between civil engineering knowledge and also project management knowledge. And you would be supervising the crew on the site and making sure that they actually follow the drawings, the plans provided by the different engineers, and everything is actually where it's supposed to be. So it's more like a supervision kind of a job if you want to go into construction management. Geotechnical engineering, it's a branch of civil engineering, and this one, so for any structure, any building, it has to be built on a piece of land. That piece of land might have a different kind of soil. It has a different topography. All of that has to be tested, and you need to make sure that the land that you're going to build on is actually meeting a certain specification to make it sure that it would handle the weight of the building that it's on. So as a geotechnical engineer, you would go to the field, you would take different samples at different levels, different depths of the ground, and you would take it back to the lab and run different tests on it. And the final product would be soil reports, and you would just communicate back to the architect and the other engineers and tell them that this land is okay to build on, or if it's not, or it needs to go through a special treatment before you be able to build on it, and all of that. So if you were into lab works, and some of it, like, it's a fusion between lab work and outdoor work, and if you're into geology, geotechnical engineering actually might be a good fit for you. Environmental engineering. So environmental engineering is the study of the impact of the built environment. Whatever we build, if you want to study the impact of your building, the development, any structure on the environment and the nature and ecosystems, environmental engineering could be a good fit for you. For example, as you see here in the picture, they built a dam in a certain river. As an environmental engineer, you might actually put trackers on the fish and study in that area and study the movement of the fish for months before you decide that putting a dam in here would impact the life of the natural species in that area or not, or you can greenlight it or not. So it's just the understanding how we impact the environment and the ecosystem around us. If you're into nature and engineering at the same time, environmental engineering might be actually a good fit for you. If you want to study sustainability, sustainable solutions within built environment, um, all of these solar systems, all of that kind of green options, environmental engineering might be actually a really good option for you. Transportation engineering, if you're into designing roads, bridges, where to put the traffic lights, where to put the traffic signs, what material you need to be using for the roads, whether when to use asphalt, when to use concrete, what different levels that goes into the road, because there's so many different levels of them. It's not like only the asphalt that you see. Actually, there's many different layers that need to be designed beneath it. Transportation engineering might be actually a good option for you. The design of bridges tend to be a bit complex and it's a bit challenging. However, a lot of people find it really interesting, and it has a very um, special market, I guess, and I think there's always a need of people that know how to design bridges. So transportation engineering might be actually a good fit for you if you're into driving and like a transportation in general. That might be a good fit for you because you would be deciding a lot of the elements on the roads and how to make movability better for everyone. So this is what transportation engineering is about. Material engineering. So if you like civil engineering and you like lab works, you like to be also to be a scientist, to be in the lab with a lab coat and goggles and doing experiments and testing material, this would be a good option for you. All of the materials that are going to be used on site, like concrete, like wood, like steel, like aluminum, anything that needs to be used on site actually needs to go and be tested in the lab and need to be certified. You need to be able to say, yes, this is material that actually meet the requirements, meet the government specification, and you can use it or you cannot really use it. All of that work is done with the material engineering, and it is part of the civil engineering. So this is an idea about what you can do, some of the majors that involved in the construction industry, and we highlighted some of the differences in there. So hopefully you would find this helpful. I noticed also that a lot of you actually have interests in more than one major, and that's always an option for you. So double majoring is an option. My personal advice is that you do your undergrad in one major and your grad studies, your masters, you do that with the second major. And this way you would be more competitive in the market and, instead of having two undergrad degrees. Also, after graduation, you might take 1 year or 2 year in the market to work and get some experience and get a better idea about what you actually want to do with your career, and then decide to go back for your master's. You would have a better idea about what exactly you're heading in that area. So it's never too late. It's not because you just graduated that you would never be able to go back to school. That's never the case, almost never the case. A lot of people go to the market for a few years and come back for a grad degree. So that could be an option for you. Always stay in touch with your counselors and advisors. Try to get as much information as possible from them. Do not assume that they know everything. So everything that they tell you, go back and check it. If they recommend a certain major at a certain college, go back and check with that certain college, just to make sure that they like everything is where you want it to be. Um, I try just to stay open and do not wait for the last minute to ask about where to go and what to do with your degree. Feel free to contact me. You have my email. It is on the syllabus and also on Blackboard. So if you have any question, feel free to contact me. I would be more than happy to guide you, give you advice about all of these different majors. Um, yes, and I hope that you find this helpful. Thank you. Have a good day.